This is Nate McGaha, Executive Director of Arts North Carolina. Today, we're going to talk about the Arts North Carolina legislative agenda for the North Carolina General Assembly in 2021. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're asking for and why, and how to have those conversations. Now, this document that you're looking at here is the 2021 legislative request. It lists out all of our primary legislative asks for the year, as well as some talking points and data points and information to put those requests into context. We suggest that you email this document to your legislator before meeting with them so that they have a frame of reference for your conversation, and also to email it to them afterwards if you're following up with them with an email, maybe with other information or some upcoming events. Also include this legislative request document. It's important to remember that this document provides the requests. It also provides the data, but it does not supply the stories. That's what you bring to the conversation, and that's really the heart and soul of effective arts advocacy. It's always great to start with an attitude of gratitude, and there's a lot to be grateful for from our North Carolina General Assembly members. We want to thank them for their leadership and service throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a very difficult and stressful time, well, for all of us, but particularly for those elected officials. We want to thank them for the $9.4 million investment into nonprofit arts from the CARES Act funding from the General Assembly last fall. Even if you're from Wake or Mecklenburg counties that didn't receive that funding from the General Assembly, have that conversation with your General Assembly member because, talk to them about the CARES Act funding that you got from the county and how important those relief funds are. It's important to remember and to remind our of elected officials that they can make a real difference, and they've done so in the past. And also thank them for the North Carolina Arts High School graduation requirement and how it's really helped to provide a well-rounded basic education for every student across North Carolina. It's also a great way to remind them that they can take an active role in supporting arts education in our schools. Now, the pandemic has had a serious impact on the arts across North Carolina. In the nonprofit arts sector alone, we're looking at over $300 million in lost sales, primarily in admissions. The economic impact of that across the entire state, just from the nonprofit closures, is over $1 billion because you take that $300 million and that gets compounded with all the lost meals and lost shopping trips that were connected to those arts events. But if you widen that lens to the entire North Carolina creative economy, the losses get closer to $3.4 billion in total lost revenue from florists and marketing firms and architects. That entire creative economy picture has been devastated by the pandemic. The job losses have also been massive. 30%, 36% of nonprofit arts jobs lost. That's nearly 10,000 in the state of North Carolina. 50% of fine arts and culture industry unemployment. Think about that as maybe not people that have jobs at nonprofits, but that work for nonprofits, like musicians who might be on a contract basis and get paid by a 1099, or an independent artist that relies on those nonprofits to sell their artwork or their pottery. And then across the entire creative economy, 63% of artists and creative workers have no income. That's as high as 80,000 people in the state of North Carolina. So we've got a long way to go to get back from the devastating impacts of the pandemic. And we're going to turn to the North Carolina General Assembly for help in restarting the arts. The Restart the Arts grant program is an $8 million grant program we're requesting them to start through the North Carolina Arts Council. It'll be $4 million a year for the next 2 years, but non-recurring. So $4 million in this upcoming fiscal year, $4 million in the year after that, right now when we need it the most. The General Assembly has some unspent funds that they have access to. They're not looking for recurring expenses to put into the budget. However, they seem to be willing at this point to, as they're going through the budget process, to invest in these one-time expenses within the next biennium budget. What are these grants going to be used for? Restarting public arts programs, right? All of those wonderful events events and shows and showings that we provide to the public as an arts community. But we know that it's going to be really difficult to get those things started. We, of course, know that it's crucial to rebuild communities. It's going to be crucial to rebuilding those local economies as we work through the process of reopening our state. Now, 30% of these funds are going to be reserved for underserved communities as well as struggling rural communities. So it's important to remind legislators that not all of this funding is going to only go to a few areas of North Carolina or a few populations of the state. Why is this funding needed? I like to say that the car has been sitting in the garage, right? The arts car has been sitting in the garage for 18 months by the time we're really ready to reopen in earnest. And we need a jump start to get the engine of our creative industries moving again. All of our resources have been spent on survival. And now that we've survived, it's time to thrive. But we need a little extra cash for marketing and creating those promotional partnerships with local tourism bureaus or city government or marketing firms. We need dollars to invest maybe in staffing or resources or contracts or rights, whatever it is. We're going to need a little bit of help to move our entire multi-billion-dollar industry forward and out of this pandemic. Remind your legislator that in addition to the cost of admission, on average, folks in North Carolina, arts event attendees in North Carolina spend over $30 on in places like hotels or retail stores, and especially restaurants. So many people spend money at restaurants while they're out at other arts events. 1 in 3 of those patrons are coming from other counties or from out of states. And the ones that are coming in from other counties are spending twice as much as the locals. And it's really going to be key that we encourage and reestablish participation in these arts events. Now, the recent studies from Johns Hopkins shows that arts nonprofits are going to take 2.5 years to recover. That's more than double what other nonprofit sectors are going to take to recover. So it's really important that we have this $4 million investment for each of the next 2 years. Also, rural counties with performing arts organizations have 3 times more population growth, attract more workers and jobs, and provide higher incomes. So having a strong nonprofit sector is going to be crucial as we begin to build and help North Carolina recover from the pandemic. Now, in addition to that Restart the Arts grant, we're asking that they remember that arts are education and that arts education in North Carolina should be fully and fairly funded and not cut because we're worried about budget shortfalls, certainly not unfairly so. Remind them that the arts need to remain a part of a well-rounded education, and that's essential in order to keep students engaged, that we keep a focus on the arts and not push them to the side as we try to catch up on other subjects like math or reading or science as we come out of the pandemic, and to make sure that arts have specialized PPE or other resources that they're going to need to ensure arts instruction can happen safely as we continue to reopen the schools across the states. Why are arts education important? Well, you know, we know that those most challenged students, if they have a high participation in the arts, are 5 times more likely to graduate from high school. We also know that they're twice as likely to achieve a college degree. Also, students that are heavily involved in the arts are 4 times more likely to be recognized for academic achievement and score on average 100 points higher on their SAT scores. And really, possibly the most important in terms of rebuilding our economy, 72% of business leaders say that creativity is the #1 job skill that they are seeking. So we really need to make sure that we keep a robust arts education system in our state. And remember that Arts, our education platform, is part of a national initiative providing tools for everyone to act locally. You should go to artsareducation.org, sign the pledge that you're going to stand up for arts education, use their 2-minute email tool to reach out to your legislation via email, get some language that you can take to your school board, and start a coalition to have your local school board commit to arts education. They also have a wonderful toolkit with a lot of information about how the school budget process works and how you can take action. Now, as you're wrapping up your meeting with your North Carolina General Assembly member, make sure you ask them whether or not they're a member of the Joint Caucus on Arts and Arts Education. This is a coming together of legislators in both the House and the Senate so that they can learn more about the economic, educational, and civic impact of the arts all across North Carolina. If they don't know how to join up, tell them to reach out to one of our caucus chairs. There's Representative Carney and Representative Elmore in the House, and Senator Sawyer and Senator Woodard in the North Carolina Senate. All of these are great arts leaders at the North Carolina General Assembly. They just need to reach out and tell them that they want to be a member of the Arts Caucus, and that's going to help us to build a coalition. I want to thank everybody for watching the video today. I also want to really thank our sponsors for Arts Day 2021, who also support the work of Arts North Carolina all year long. It really is so crucial to have that financial support for our mission and all that we do. Thank you.